right. Hello, Jukka.
Hi, Jussi.
So let's talk a little bit about the Happit business benefits.
Sure, that's
Great.
my pleasure.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. As you know, we are now running this Feature Friday where we talk a little bit about the features. So let's look into more how actually Happit serves and creates value at the customer. And we always talk about those 4 phases of user adoption. So where the first phase is the discovery phase, where the end user needs to figure out as fast as possible the value of a certain application or a process. So the onboarding is more the e-learning, getting into the depth of the whole system or the application. Then the productivity phase is more about getting the routine and being engaged over a longer term. And then in the end, we have the mastery phase where you basically have your masters in your organization or the community heroes helping those people who are stuck in earlier phases. So if you focus now a little bit about the discovery phase, so in your words, how does Happit create their value?
Yeah, I will go to the discovery phase very soon, but first I want to mention that the most common problem that we are actually solving with the Happit is the clear understanding about the existence of these 4 different phases.
Yeah.
So in rather many organizations, the software trainers are trying to get everyone to the level of kind of MVPs or experts with the new software. And if the reality is that you have an employee whose work is not to develop software, but to sell or cook food or something like that, it's not wise move to do. Then they are using their time to something that's not really productive. Yeah. So when we can actually implement the training in a way that we really recognize what are the 4 phases of user adoption and start from the discovery phase, the first question is what are the things that you really want all of the users to understand about the new software? What are the capabilities? What are the stuff? Even if you wouldn't like them to know how to do it, but what are the capabilities that they should actually understand that this software is providing? For example, with SharePoint, you might want to introduce people to different kind of communicational tools and then maybe document management and so on, even though people wouldn't be ready for that yet after the first training.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is something that you really need to do when people log in for the first time to the new software or start to use new feature for the first time and so on. And that's basically where Happit can help you or your organization in 2 different ways. One is that you can basically save in training costs. You don't have to bring everyone to a classroom or to Teams meeting for 1 or 2 hours to listen about the topics. Instead of that, you can basically provide the training whenever your people really need the software for the first time. So when they log in. And the second thing over here is that you can actually concentrate on those very selected topics, and through that concentration you can measure that okay, this many of our users has actually went through these and they know already these capabilities. So you make this software training measurable, and it's kind of the self-evident way to start the user adoption journey. You should basically concentrate on the most important things and measure that it's really producing some results.
Yeah, absolutely. If I may really add here something as well. So I mean, we have figured it out many times that if an end user or a person is using a software or a tool for the first time, and she or he gets stuck in the first, let's say, 10 seconds or 15 seconds, the user starts to feel really uncomfortable, and that produces, or that leads to a very, let's say, low user acceptance from the beginning. And if you have that in the beginning, it's really, really hard to kind of change that energy for the
Yes.
user, or that kind of attitude. So in that sense, Happit is solving that problem from the very first, let's say, second when a user comes to a new software or a new application.
Yeah, that's true. And it's not a miracle that most of the SaaS vendors are nowadays implementing this kind of walkthroughs or wizards in order to make people to get this kind of discovery phase training. And there's only one reason. It's clearly creating such customerships that last longer and generate more income for the company who's offering the software.
Yeah.
So I think that it's kind of proven benefit.
Yeah. And of course, games have it done already for decades.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah. So it's very crucial, especially in games where kind of the competition is so fierce that you cannot allow a user or a player to not understand how the game works. So we just apply the similar thing for the enterprise world with help of Happit.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so what about the next phase when you talk a little bit about onboarding?
Yeah. In this phase, typically the kind of user adoption need or requirement starts to develop in a way. So if you think about a salesperson or people who are working in financial administration or in some other department of your company, you understand very clearly that the work is basically almost totally different. There are no two roles that would be doing exactly the same things. But for some reason, traditional software training starts from the assumption that, okay, either I have so well explaining software that it's not needed to train, or I give the same exact training for everyone.
Yeah.
And if you try to, for example, train usage of collaboration tools to everyone in the same way, then you basically miss the point that their work roles are different and they could get business benefits from different kind of features and things from different processes that they are following internally and so on. So in the onboarding phase, the key question is that you recognize per role where you can actually achieve the biggest impact by changing the ways of working and by adapting new software to support the new ways of working.
Yeah.
And in that case, Happit offers very, very good kind of features through individual HubSpots and also through sequences. You can train people to actually complete different kind of actions or even full processes on top of one or several applications. And now when you're actually very, very well connected to real value generating business processes where people are doing different kind of actions, you can see that, okay, it's just not possible that I would have a person who's traveling all over the company and telling about the ways how salespeople in Africa and States and Europe and so on should use this SharePoint document library in order to store the proposals and find the best templates and so on. Yeah. You need to have some much more effective way to do this training, and that's exactly what Happit provides. So you can basically train them on that very page or site where they are doing the things. And in addition to that, people tend to forget things really kind of quickly.
Yeah.
And if you have trained a few different processes today, most likely people don't remember how they should exactly do it after 1 week. There's a lot of research that says that, okay, 90% of different kind of education will get forgotten within 1 week. And with Happit, you can actually help this user or organization to remember more and actually to kind of reactivate their memory. They may remember that, okay, there was something about this in the training. What was it? Then just click Happit on and see the instructions are over there all the time. And if you don't remember where you should actually do this, you can always use the Happit search for example, finding archive processes or expense claims processes or whatever you are looking for.
So yeah, it's basically learning on demand in the right context there, when and where you need it the most, basically.
Yeah, and in addition to that, you can always search for the trainings if you lose the context as well. Quite typical is that, for example, new salespeople don't remember where they're supposed to store this information in CRM or in SharePoint or in some third application. And that's the reason for incorrect data. That's actually very costly for the organizations in the long.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Very, very good. So when we now evolve from the onboarding phase to the productivity phase, so in your words, what would you see that Happit is creating value in a kind of longer term? So to kind of to engage users on a longer run. I mean, usually user adoption, what people think is about, okay, we roll out a new thing and then it's rolled out and then it works, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is usually different.
Yeah. I said just a minute ago, people tend to forget things, and then obviously processes and tools are such that they change over time. There are some small changes in practices and so on. So you can use means from the first two steps that we have already explained. But in addition to that, you can also use Happit as a very simple in-context support tool. So you can integrate it with your help desk software and make the support process much more faster. You can basically forget the first 2 or 3 emails to your help desk if you're using Happit. Because the context is already in the first message. As you can see, these support functions, quite often the process goes in a way that first the user is sending an email or calling or opening a chat or something like that about the problem that they have, and they just don't remember to mention that they were using this application and they were on this page and they faced this problem when they did this and that. And we can basically provide most of this information for the help desk just by saving the context in the ticket when people really create them, when they are using the software already. So just click some element on the page and it will deliver for the help desk engineer the information that the user didn't really understand about the ways of working with this feature or something like that.
I mean, this is a huge benefit also for, let's say, the platform or the software owners, that they can really see where do my users have issues with with the software, if they have implemented something or if there's a feature which no one really understands. But kind of the content team was thinking, okay, yeah, we need to provide this type of information, but then the users having struggle with this, and then you can use that actually, ad hoc create answers for the problems what users are having.
Yeah, and actually you just stole my fourth point.
Sorry.
For the mastery phase. This is actually what happens very often with the clients as well.
Yeah.
When you go through these sources of business benefits, people who like to develop and think about how other people are using this software starts to think that, okay, if I would know how our people are at the moment using, and in addition to that, how they would like to use, then I would have such data that is much more powerful than I will never get from workshops where I collect requirements. And that's very much true.
Exactly. And I would think, let's say, if we use, let's say, Happit to kind of onboard an application like Teams, everyone is crazy about Teams right now.
Yeah.
And you would recognize what type of issues users have with Teams. I think that information would be very interesting for Microsoft as well, since I'm very close connected to the Microsoft product team or Teams product team. So I think this type of information would be really, really beneficial for, let's say, many players within the ecosystem.
Yes, I'm pretty much sure that it's really, really valuable. And obviously, in Happit, you can get the stats about this kind of stuff, and it's only up to you if you know how to use data. And as we know, most of the kind of engineer-minded people are more or less data-driven.
Absolutely.
So if they just get the data, they can really generate better results than without it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you said. I mean, engineers, they are data-driven, but let's say the big part of the people, they are emotional-driven.
Yes.
So when we talk a little bit more about the mastery phase, so one thing is of course to kind of, let's say, cultivate users to become MVPs or experts in a certain application. But how does Happit really, let's say, cultivate this whole, let's say, way of working, that people are okay to kind of share their problems, or then end users are starting to create training material themselves and so on. So how is Happit supporting this?
Well, now we are actually talking about more kind of personal benefits, not from the organizational point of view, but yes, Happit can cultivate that process as well. And then it actually comes to the combination of your story of learning to use new software, or learning to help other people to use new software, and the features that Happit provides. So you can get from the Happit all the data you basically need, either on individual level or on organizational level. Many customers make the selection based on the user adoption strategy that they select, and obviously one of the factors is how they see that the information privacy is handled. But basically with Happit, if you decide that you will collect the information on individual level, then you can also provide the information on individual level, and you can build the story around that in a way that, okay, you have, for example, learned or done this many trainings in Happit. Do just a few more and you will be on this new level
Yeah.
as a trainer.
Yeah.
Or you can also do that in a way that it's more or less organizational data that you are using. So as an organization, we are on this level and so on.
Okay.
And then obviously the same information can be collected from generating new advice, new instructions, and you can obviously connect the power as a user to the level where you are, how capable you are to advise other people. And if you are capable enough, you might have the superpower to use actually Happit for delivering your expertise and knowledge to other people.
Yeah. I mean,
but this is a thing that you need to actually think carefully, because you really need to build the story around that kind of user adoption, user engagement strategy. If you don't have the story, you have only features, and that's where Happit can also help on services side, as well as tackling all these 4 phases.
Use cases before features.
Yeah. And when we think about the individuals, there's the 5th bonus benefit, and it's relevant for those who are basically creating the new instructions. That's something that some people are basically frustrated with. If you need to use a lot of time to create new instructions, and then publish and train and so on. And if you would have a faster way to do that, then you would probably love to train more and love to create more advice for other people. And with Happit, you can, for example, translate automatically content from one language to another language. You don't have to master all 5 or 7 languages that you are using within your corporation. You can publish global instructions very easily, in a way that if you have certain element like search box or something available in different places in your application, that same instruction is always available. Nevertheless, what's the page where you are? So you can really kind of boost your instruction production via that feature as well. And then obviously, who are the most familiar content admins with Happit may be interested in our roadmap features as well. There are stuff that we are already using, but most likely will publish to our customers as well, like mass copy of all the HubSpots. If you create really interesting and good instructions to one application, and then you have almost the same application you want to support, you can just mass copy them.
Also, the features what we have been discussing about in summer with integration of the bot framework, and we also have in the Happit lab some things around machine learning or artificial intelligence in a way, how we want to evolve the whole product. But talking a little bit about creating the content, so there is this kind of mass instructions, but also for the Happit is built for the end users. That means that you don't need to be a super tech savvy person to actually create those instructions. Anyone can do it. And actually, I have tested it with my mother. So she's not the most tech savvy person, but she was able to create instructions on top of Office 365, and she's absolutely has no idea how to do it. So I just explained her how to do it for 5 minutes, and she was able to create those. So I said Happit is built for the end users, and that end users can create their own learning environment because they know the best how the business works, right?
Yeah. And if I repeat the basic business benefits, there were four main sources. One is that you have much more effective way to introduce new software to the users during the discovery phase, and you can measure how it's done. So you have both the kind of way of doing something, and then you have the stats about that. You can actually help people to learn new ways of working, so you can onboard to role specific things, or obviously if you have something that's relevant for everyone in your company, then you can do that for that as well.
Yeah.
But by that you actually will get much more benefits from the changing ways of working within the company. Then you can help your users to work in the productivity phase with less interruptions, because you have always the instructions available via search, and you have the capability to get the expert from the help desk or support engineer team to solve your problem much faster than with traditional means. So less interruptions, more time to productive work. And fourth, if you think that some digital services would be interesting in your business, that they would make your business flourish, then you probably would like to have the best possible stats that tell you what you should actually develop. And that's something that Happit can also offer for you. So these are the four main benefits. And then we have the bonus one that we discussed from trainer's time point of view and coziness point of view.
Yeah, I mean, I've done this ProSci certification. You know, it's this kind of standardized change management thing. And then what I've learned there, change management is all about shortening the time from rolling out until it creates value. You know.
Yes.
This is what change management should be doing actually. And with all those benefits you just explained, that's exactly what's happening. So we kind of shorten this time until the new product or the new software or the new process is actually creating the added value for the business, what actually the business owners are planning to do with rolling out new processes or software and so on.
Yeah.
So you want to go get there as fast as possible, right?
Yeah, and that's actually how I see the world that's digitalizing. There are basically two main sources of competitive advantages for any organization.
Yeah.
One is totally new way of doing your business, case Uber or Amazon or something like that. You create totally new way to do the business, and then you get the customers and so on. So you're digitalizing your external operations first.
Yeah.
You can obviously use Happit over there as well to advise the users. But then the other one is the kind of internal part of your company, how you digitalize your internal work and processes. And over there, many companies tend to trust on some major technology vendors with the tools. For example, Microsoft is offering from the cloud certain services like Office 365 or Dynamics or something like that. And exactly the same services are available for any of your competitors all around the world. So you cannot make any competitive advantage by just buying this software and hoping that someone will someday use it. You need to really focus on getting people on board and getting them to understand what are the most profitable ways for us to use this software.
Absolutely.
So the business advantage is basically on that side in this shortening the time from the license or subscription purchase to the moment when your people are actually using it in much more clever way than your competitors are using exactly the same technology.
This is exactly the point, and I mean I'm around in the Office 365 consulting for a while, and what I always see is that customers buy the Ferrari, but they use the tricycle to go to work, right?
Yes.
So that's exactly the problem. So they don't even know they bought the Ferrari mostly. That hey, yeah, we have bought this, this little bicycle, whatever. But they don't know, oh, they actually have so much power on top of their fingertips. And this is also what user adoption is all about, to create awareness of those processes and tools which can create so much more value. And that's also one of the mission of Microsoft, to enable or to give the tools that customers can achieve more, right?
Yes. I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, very, very interesting discussion, Jukka. Well, I think we are through at this stage. Or anything else you would still wanna say about this topic?
I think that the most important thing is to start from somewhere. And for any listener who's thinking where to start, I think that the most obvious place to start is to ask from yourself that, okay, what are the biggest gaps that we have in our ways of working and in our kind of designed ways of working. And then you can ask if there's some software included. If there is, you can just ask from us or from your own consultant how you actually could make more money out of these tools when I want our people to use them like this. So define your gaps, and based on that, it's easy to advise you from change management point of view.
Great. So maybe some final words. Time is gold.
Yes.
And content is king, and context is queen. So thanks, Jukka.
That's good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.